Hi model builders. Today we're going to do a review of AMT's 1994 Ford Lightning kit. And I actually own one of these trucks, so I'm going to go over just how accurate this kit is to the real thing and also review how it is to build. Alright, inside here at the workbench, first let me start by explaining my build philosophy. I build most of my kits pretty much out of the box, not necessarily stock in some cases, but in this case I tried to adhere to the original vehicle as much as possible, especially since I have one in the garage I can refer to. And this is something that you could duplicate a build of very easily by doing this yourself, just like the way I've done it here. There's nothing fancy that I've done requiring any additional parts or anything like that. So let's start off by looking at the accuracy of this kit versus the real thing, and then we'll get into the construction and how the model shapes up. One thing you want to know about Lightnings is they only came in 3 colors, red, white, and black. My truck is red, and do not go by the color of the truck shown in the first shot because that's a very faded truck. It needs a paint job in a big way. In 1993, they did not put clear coat on the red. It's the only color they didn't do it to, and so all the 93s fade to an ugly pinkish color. After that, they used a base coat clear coat finish, and actually the shade of red gets a little darker also on the truck. So depending on what year you're doing, you're going to want to reference that and see what you want to have for paint color. I did not use a specific color to try to match mine. I just used a Tester's spray enamel red, which I wasn't very happy with ultimately because it did not cover very well. I had to put a lot of coats on this truck to get it to where it is, and it still isn't really very good in my opinion. So what does this truck have in proper to the original truck? Well, first of all, this truck is not going to be a 1994 as it says in the box art. The 93 through 95 trucks, which was the 3 years that they made these, are all essentially the same with some small details. The 93 is unique in that it has a 2-spoke non-airbag steering wheel. And this kit does not come with an airbag steering wheel. It's going to have the 2-spoke. I don't know if we can see that there, but it is not the 4-spoke airbag equipped wheel. So this truck is actually going to be a 93, not a 94 or 95 based on that. Now if you can source that steering wheel from another kit or something, probably out of even a Mustang kit would probably have that in. It's a little bit newer. You would be able to make it whatever year you want. But for this purpose, just pulling it out of the box, this is a 93 truck. The Lightning is unique in a couple aspects from the regular F-150. One thing is it has the front bumper with the body molding, rubber strip there, and also the fog lights and the air dam. This is all molded in one piece on the kit. It's a good representation. I have no quarrel with that. The wheels, of course, are unique to the Lightning, and these are a really good duplicate of those. No complaints there. The seats in a Lightning are unique. And you can see that these are not standard buckets, and they also come with small decals for the Lightning script on the seat backs, which is a really nice touch. Also comes with the center console, which is standard to the Lightning with the 2 cup holders. I think that was also shared with Broncos, full-size Broncos of the period. At the back, there is the tube rear bumper, the highly coveted tube rear bumper that if you're a Lightning owner, that's like gold if you have one of those. They don't make them anymore. They're very hard to come by. They had a tendency to rust out. And so here it is duplicated on the truck kit. Now, it's not as accurate maybe as I'd like it to be. These brackets that you see here that go into the body and the rear are kind of hokey. That's not how the real truck looks. The real truck also would have came with an option of that bumper or a step bumper that was painted to the body color of the truck. The kit does not offer you the option of a step bumper. It is a standard Ford step bumper. It's nothing special. Probably could be duplicated from another kit if you could find one. The exhaust system is also unique to the Lightning with the twin exits like that, the muffler tips, and they're duplicated here as well. Now give me a minute here. I'm going to flip the truck upside down and show you a couple things underneath. Okay, some more Lightning specific things on the underside. There is a aluminum drive shaft, which is in a kit. It's nothing different than the regular F-150 drive shaft, but you want to paint that silver because it is an aluminum piece. The standard trucks all have steel ones. The exhaust system continues and comes up here to the unique catalytic converter, and then there is pipes to each side. One thing that this kit does not have accurate is the exhaust manifolds. They are standard small block V8 F-150. The Lightning should have tubular style exhaust manifolds. The other thing that we can see under here that's not accurate to a Lightning, but probably nobody's ever going to notice, is the oil filter comes out at an angle. On the Lightning, it drops down straight because it has an oil cooler attached to the top of it. That's not replicated here either. But the rest of the underside is really pretty good. And we'll talk more about that when we get a little bit more look into actually how the kit goes together. And moving to the engine bay, we have a unique intake system for the Lightning. It's a GT40 style, and it has Lightning cast into the top plenum. That is replicated here. In addition, the air inlet on a Lightning is different. Here we have a little scoop that takes air into the air box. It's different than your standard F-150. That is correctly replicated here as well. Okay, so a few things that aren't right about it. This kit was based on a standard F-150 XLT kit. And there's a lot of things that they can just reuse in the process of building the Lightning kit, which is fine, but there are some things that are missing or just noteworthy that we want to discuss. One of the two of the things are in the back window area. Most Lightnings had a sliding rear window. There's no option for that with this kit. It's just a solid piece of glass, which was standard, but most of the Lightnings came with a sliding rear window. There's also no cargo light above the rear window. That would be pretty typical to find on, I think, all of them. The other thing is there is no shifter on the automatic, or no column shifter for the automatic transmission. All Lightnings came with a column shifted automatic. There was no stick shift model, no floor mounted shifter. One of the other things that came about as I was finishing it off was the decals. The Lightning decals on the sides and the tailgate are all the same size in the kit. On the real truck, however, they are different sizes. I believe the sizing is correct for the tailgate. The ones on the bed sides would be larger, and these are incorrect size. They do give you on the decal sheet some larger Lightning decals that have no real purpose, and these are too big to go on the sides, way too large. About twice the size that they should be to be the actual sizes that go on there. So that's kind of disappointing that they missed that. Being that it's supposed to be a 94, I can't critique this so much, but on the tailgate of my 93, there should be an oval Ford badge on the driver's side. It's not offered as a decal, and it's not molded into the tailgate, so it's missing here on this one. I was also told that the transmission is not the correct one for the truck. Honestly, I can't tell that by looking at the underside of the truck. I'm not that smart or skilled in how to identify them, but apparently the automatics used in the Lightnings are different than the standard F-150, and this is not the correct one supposedly, and here it is just a regular F-150 transmission. The other big bad thing about this kit, being it for a Lightning, is that it is an XLT F-150 kit basis, and it comes with the body side moldings molded in. That is a big no-no. The factory truck never had body side moldings. A skilled modeler would of course want to take those off and sand those down and fill and, you know, make your body side smooth like the real truck. Unfortunately, I know my skill level, I know my level of patience, and that was not for me to do. I chose just to paint over them and pretend they're not there, and it's up to you if you want to do the same. Another item that is a big annoyance with this kit is the chrome parts. An original Lightning has absolutely zero chrome on it anywhere. These trucks had blacked out trim and body colored bumpers. There is no chrome to be found anywhere on the truck, inside or out. And it was kind of disappointing to find a big chrome tree that gave you a chrome grill piece and chrome mirrors and lots of chrome engine parts, and I forget what all was chrome. So I had to strip the chrome off all these things and just paint the engine parts silver as necessary. Strip the chrome off the grill, which took a couple shots of oven cleaner, and then paint it to match. It's not an impossible thing, but it's totally unnecessary. Why are they putting chrome parts in this kit? It shouldn't have any. They're spending money they shouldn't to build this thing with a chrome tree in it. Stop it. Just say no to chrome parts. Alright, and one more big thing we have to talk about before we get too far into the build. You've probably heard that these Lightning kits were originally issued with the incorrect tailgate. And mine came with the wrong one as well. Now, I bought this kit and it did not have the correct tailgate in it. I had the step side, or excuse me, flare side bed tailgate, which is wrong. Obviously, it's not going to fit in there. And my hobby shop actually was sent replacement tailgates by round 2 and was distributed to me free of charge. If you happen to buy one of these kits and do not have the correct full-size tailgate, contact round 2 and they will supply the correct tailgate to you, I believe at no charge. This one, useless. Alright, now on to the building of this kit. This is a fairly modern kit compared to a lot of them that have been reissued, and I was very surprised and pleased at how much detail this truck has and how easily it goes together. And we'll go over the different aspects of it, but a couple things. First, we'll start up top. This is going to be final assembly notes. The bed and the cab actually hook together with little tabs in here, and as you might see on this side, it looks like it's a little bowed. It's almost like there's a hump in here, which I didn't notice till I had the thing together, and honestly I'm not going to go back and really fix it now. It doesn't look as bad on the other side for some reason. The other thing is that I had issues with was trying to get the wheelbase correct. The cab bed assembly can kind of slide a little bit on the chassis, and trying to get these front wheels lined up in the fenders is a little bit of a challenge. That's probably the only real gripe I have with how it goes together. The interior snaps in. There's 2 little tabs up here that'll snap it into the front and one in the back of the cab. The hood just slides into the 2 slots here. Not bad at all. And the tailgate, I did not even glue in place. It is actually hinged and will work. Sort of, kind of. So, final assembly fits really well. I was very pleased with that, and I don't even think I had to use any glue to hold the body and the chassis together. The interior is a one-piece tub with the seats, the console, and the dashboard separate. It's very hard to see with my bad lighting here, but there really is very little detail on the interior tub. The door panels are very faint detail, although it is accurate. But if you wanted to try to duplicate the 2-tone paint scheme on the door panels, it's really hard. Here you can kind of see looking through there that's about as much raised area as you're going to get. I didn't bother to even try. It was just too difficult to do. The dashboard's not bad. I was able to duplicate it pretty well, and the coloring that I used for the dash to get the proper finish was a gray primer, and then I just spray it with gloss, and it looks like the shiny plastic that's in the factory truck, which is kind of cool. So that wasn't very hard to do. But the interior tub itself is a little bit of a disappointment as far as detail. It does fit in there really well, as I did note. The rearview mirrors have separate pieces for the reflective part. They're in chrome. It's about the only piece of chrome that you're going to want to use. The side emblems are molded into the truck's fenders and aren't too bad to pick out with paint. And the headlight lenses are separate pieces from the grille and are clear, and you can paint the back sides of them. I'm not happy at all with the turn signals, and also experts will notice that I painted the upper side markers amber and should not have done that. They should be clear. You think a guy who would own the truck would know that, but I didn't remember it, and had them glued on, so it's too late now. I'm just going to ignore that and pretend it didn't happen. In the engine bay, really good job of detail here. Separate master cylinder, separate coolant reservoir and battery. Air intake system is actually 3 different pieces for the air cleaner. The intake system is 2 pieces. The belt drive has a lot of stuff on it, being a serpentine drive. All of it is in the correct place and is there, and you can pick it out pretty nicely with paint. Firewall has some good detail molded onto it. It is a separate piece. Has the brake booster molded in, as well as the HVAC system. Inner fender wells also have some things molded in, but unfortunately in the real truck it's all black, so it doesn't really show up very well in the model if you are painting it accurately. You also note that I painted the core support gray as it is on the original truck, and also the fan shroud is a raw gray plastic as well. They do provide a belt routing decal, but it is actually oversized. It should fit on the gray portion, not on the red portion, and it's too big to fit on the gray portion, so I just moved it up there to the red part, which would actually be the top of the grill. Not accurate, but suitable for our purposes here. And we'll go underneath again and have a look at the underside. So the bottom side of the truck looks like it has a lot of detail, and it does. However, I have a big gripe with this. The only thing that they did on this kit that really irritated me was they molded the frame into the floor pan. It is not separate, it is all molded together, and you have to paint it and pick it out separately. So that's what I had to do, hand paint the frame rails after I spray painted the undercarriage of the floor. It does have a separate spare tire and carrier. The rear fuel tank is molded into the floor pan. The middle fuel tank is a separate item. The rear axle has a separate diff cover and is also two pieces with the springs. And the front suspension is a good replica of the twin I-beam system, and it looks really flimsy when you're putting it in. I was really surprised at how well it actually holds together once it's all installed. It has some very small glue points, but comes out really well. I was shocked that it went together as good as it did. There is one thing that you'll notice maybe on the underside here, is that I am missing an exhaust part. This manifold has no pipe to go to the exhaust system. It was missing in my kit. I couldn't find it. I think it fell off the tree before the parts were bagged, and that's just going to have to remain missing because I didn't have anything else in the scrap box that would work. But since this goes into a display case when I'm done, and really nobody ever looks under there but me, I don't think it's going to be an issue. But just check that on your own kit. Make sure you have that piece as well. But aside from that, it's not too bad. The floor pan stops here, and then this is the bottom of the bed floor, right in here behind the tires. And then it goes the whole way up, and then the interior tub kind of, you can see it's visible down in here. So you have to be very creative with your painting to make sure you cover everything. I would suggest putting some of it together as you're painting or prior to painting, and just to make sure you get it all. I have a little bit of gray primer showing there, which is fine because the factory, of course, would have done that. Actually, there should be a lot more primer under here, but it's very difficult to try to spray a paint edge over what would be a primered floor pan and not get it other places. I didn't have equipment to do that, so I just tossed my hands up in the air and sprayed the whole floor pan red. At least my truck won't rust out now underneath. But the detail is very good, and all the parts really fit together well. There was virtually nothing on this assembly on the underside that didn't fit. The drive shaft fits into the transmission properly, the exhaust system goes together properly, even the suspension pieces went together well. The shocks took a little bit of finagling to get them into their holes. They were off just a shade. But other than that, it was very easy to put together. I was very impressed with the fit and finish. The engineers that did this one really did a great job in getting everything to work and go together properly. So one final gripe I had was with the decals. We already discussed how they're the wrong size. They are a lovely replica of the blue and white, as you can see on the decal sheet. When they go in the truck, they turn black. No idea why. And that would not be a very helpful in a black truck, for example. And I'm afraid on a white truck that lightning bolt's going to get lost too. So I'm not sure how you would deal with that if you were building a black truck. That could be a real problem. Just slid them off and they were black, inexplicably. Would have been nice to have a decal for the logo and the grill as well. And they didn't give you that. So the decals are kind of a disappointment. Other than that, it winds up being a pretty darn nice truck, I have to say. it definitely looks like what's parked in the driveway with much better paint. So in conclusion, this is an above average kit, and I would give this, I'll give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It would be a full 5-star if it had better decals and no chrome that I had to strip out to do the painting on. But aside from that, it's definitely a great kit. If you're just looking to build a standard F-150 XLT model, if you can find that kit, that would make a probably an absolutely perfect replica. I can't imagine it would have any real flaws in it. And the assembly is very good. It is a little complex to put together. There's a lot of pieces to this compared to a lot of the kits that are out there, but not a tough one to do if you have any kind of patience. So that is the review of the 94/93 F-150 Lightning from AMT in round 2. Hope that's been helpful to you. Please leave some comments in the section below and get back to building.